Let me kick this off with a quick story. So you've got two company presidents, right? Fierce rivals. And they decide to go on a camping trip, of all things, to talk about a potential merger. So they're hiking deep in the woods trying to hash things out when all of a sudden, this massive grizzly bear appears. It rears up on its hind legs, lets out this incredible roar. I mean, total chaos. So immediately, the first president drops his pack, whips out a pair of running shoes, and starts lacing them up like his life depends on it. The second president just stares at him, totally confused, and says, "What are you doing? You can't outrun that bear." And the first president, without even looking up, just says, "Maybe not, but I can definitely outrun you." And that right there is the cold, hard truth of business strategy. It's not always about being the fastest person in the world, it's just about being faster than the person running next to you. So in this little story, that bear, that's the market. It's all the chaotic, unpredictable stuff happening outside your company that you have absolutely no control over. The only thing you can control is how you stack up against your rivals. To survive, you have to outrun them. Now, there's a formal name for this. It's called an external audit. And you should really think of it as your survival guide for the corporate wilderness. It's not just a casual look around. It's a deep, systematic process to spot the opportunities you can grab and the threats you need to dodge. Honestly, any good strategy has to start here. Okay, so how in the world do you scan this huge, chaotic environment? It sounds overwhelming, I know, but the good news is we can break it all down into 5 key forces. And once you do that, the picture gets a whole lot clearer. Here they are, the big 5. You've got your economic forces, things like interest rates. Then there's the whole social and cultural bucket. You've got political and legal changes. Then there's technology, which is always a game changer. And of course, the big one, your competition. Every single one of these can either open up massive new doors for you or, well, become a threat that could sink you. But let's be real, that's a ton of information coming at you every single day. A new article, a new trend, some new political drama. How do you possibly figure out what actually matters to your bottom line and what's just noise? Well, you need a filter. And a fantastic one is the AQCD test. Before you get bogged down in some new trend, just ask these 4 simple questions. Is it actionable? Meaning, can you actually do something about it? Is it quantitative? Online shopping is popular, is just noise. Online grocery shopping grew from 12 to 16% last year. Now that's a signal. Is it comparative, showing you a trend over time? And is it divisional? Does it apply to a specific product or region in your business? If it checks these boxes, it's worth paying attention to. All right, let's zoom in on that 5th force we mentioned, competition. Because let's face it, it's usually the most critical one. And the absolute best tool for mapping out this battlefield comes from the legendary Harvard professor, Michael Porter. What's so brilliant about Porter's model is that it completely shifts your perspective. It forces you to look beyond just your direct head-to-head rivals. It shows you that competition is actually coming at you from 5 different directions. And if you understand that, you can find a profitable spot in almost any industry. So here they are, the 5 forces. You've got your direct rivals duking it out in the middle, but you're also getting squeezed by new companies trying to get in on the action, by substitute products that could make you obsolete, by powerful suppliers who can jack up your costs, and by powerful customers who can force your prices down. It's a full-on pressure cooker. The first force is the one we all think about, that direct rivalry. This is the classic dogfight, the battle for customers. And the more competitors you have, and the more they look like you, the uglier that fight gets. And usually that means profits get squeezed for everybody. Then you've got threats from the outside. So first, how easy is it for a new company to just show up and start competing with you? Are the barriers to entry high, like needing a patent or $1 billion? At the same time, are there totally different products that could solve your customer's problem? Just think about how streaming services became a substitute for going to the movies or renting a DVD. And finally, you've got these vertical pressures. How much power do your suppliers have over you? I mean, if you can only buy a critical component from one company, guess who holds all the cards? And on the flip side, how much power do your customers have? If you're selling most of your stuff to just 1 or 2 huge clients, you can bet they're going to be calling the shots on price. Okay, so you've done all of this work. You've scanned the horizon, you've mapped out the competitive battlefield. Now what? How do you actually measure how you're doing? How do you turn all this insight into something you can actually use? Well, you use 2 key tools. First is the External Factor Evaluation Matrix, or EFE. Think of this as your own report card. It answers the question, how well are we dealing with everything that's happening out there? Then you have the Competitive Profile Matrix, or CPM. That's the head-to-head scorecard. It answers, how are we doing compared to them? Let's just look at a quick EFE matrix for a local movie theater so you can see how this works. First, you just list out your key opportunities and threats, the stuff that passed that EQCD test we talked about earlier.
Okay, now for the scoring. It's actually really simple. Each factor gets a weight. That number reflects how important that factor is to the entire industry, and all the weights have to add up to 1.0. Next, you give yourself a rating from 1 to 4 on how well your company is responding to that factor. 4 is we're crushing it. 1 is we're doing a terrible job. Then you just multiply the weight by the rating to get a score for each line, add them all up, and you get your grand total.
So why do all this? Why bother with matrices and weights and scores? Because it takes us right back to that bear in the woods. This whole process is about getting an honest look at where you stand so you know exactly how fast you need to be running. So what's a good score? Is there a magic number? Yep, there kind of is. It's 2.5. Across thousands of companies, the average total score on this matrix is 2.5. So if you're way above that, your strategies are working. You're seizing opportunities and handling threats. If you're way below it, well, you're probably getting left behind. And that final score forces you to ask a really tough question. Are you just average? Or are you actually building an advantage? Is your strategy just a 2.5? Or is it pushing you up towards a 3 or 4? Because that's the speed you need to outrun the other guy. And that's what this all boils down to. At the end of the day, the outside world doesn't really care about your 5-year plan or your good intentions. The market is the bear. Your only job is to be faster and smarter than your competition, because if you're not, you're in a very, very tenuous position.